Hi guys, it's Megan with Vigilante Vibes, and today I want to give another character breakdown. And continuing the theme of mutants, I want to give you one of my favorite mutants. Her name is Polaris, Lorna Dane. Lorna Dane, aka Polaris, is one of my all-time favorite mutants. I think she is phenomenal and seriously underrated. She's powerful, she's complex, and I think she gets overshadowed by the Scarlet Witch and Magneto of it all. I think she's got tremendous potential to be the central figure of an X-Men book or an X-team. And I mean, she's smart, she's powerful, she has a complex inner life, and has a long-standing relationships with a lot of major characters of the franchise. I feel like she's absolutely proven that she doesn't need to be anyone's girlfriend or to be known as Magneto's daughter to be an important driver of these stories, and I would love to see her in the spotlight. Her first appearance was in X-Men number 49. This book gets listed way too often as the first Polaris appearance, which is not accurate. It is the first appearance of Lorna Dane. It qualifies as a full appearance for Lorna as she appears throughout the issue. Interestingly enough, as it turns out, Polaris is not Lorna's first code name. It's actually Magnetrix, which she got made fun of for by Havoc, who used the name to flirt with her. While that might not seem too important, it actually is, as is the fact that it's roughly 4 years before the character Polaris ever exists on the pages of Marvel's X-Men comics. So to make a very long story short, the first appearance of Polaris is Uncanny X-Men number 97, which is like 47 issues later. Lorna Dane was born from an affair between her mom and Magneto, the famous mutant with magnetic powers and a pretty dark rep. Magneto had no idea the fling led to a kid. A few weeks later, after Lorna was born, her mom and stepdad died in a plane crash, which was likely triggered by Lorna's uncontrolled mutant powers. After that, she was adopted by the Danes. The only sign of her being a mutant back then was her green hair, which her adoptive parents made her dye brown to help her fit in. Fast forward a few years, a robotics genius named Samuel Starr Saxon built a robot version of Magneto and teamed up with Mesmero, a mutant who could hypnotize people. They used tech to summon mutants with hidden powers to San Francisco. Lorna answered the call and ended up crossing paths with Iceman, who is Bobby Drake, from the X-Men. Both of them got captured, and Lorna was put into some kind of genetic machine that triggered her magnetic powers. Mesmero then hypnotized her into thinking she was Magneto's daughter. Ironically, that turned out to be true, though no one knew it yet. Under the name M2, which is short for Magneto II, Lorna fought alongside the Magneto android against the X-Men. But Iceman found out she was adopted and used that to convince her she wasn't really Magneto's daughter. That broke the spell, and Lorna switched sides and helped the X-Men take down Mesmero. From there, Lorna, now going by Polaris, had a roller coaster of a life. She joined and left both the X-Men and X-Factor multiple times, tried retiring, got pulled back in, got manipulated into villainy again, and eventually had to come to terms with the fact that she is actually Magneto's daughter. Her powers, they are pretty impressive. She can control magnetic fields, both natural and artificial. She might be capable of everything her dad can do, but so far she's mainly shown the ability to manipulate magnetic, electrical, and gravitational forces. She can lift metal objects, create tough magnetic shields, fry electronics, and fly by riding magnetic fields. She also has this cool trick where she can see the world through energy patterns and even sense the magnetic auras around living beings. At one point, Polaris developed the ability to soak up negative energy from her surroundings, which made her grow in size and give her crazy strength and durability, though no one really knew her limits. The downside, the same energy also amped up the bad vibes around her, making people act way more aggressive and violent than usual. Later, like many other mutants, Polaris lost her powers when Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, had a mental breakdown and cast a massive reality warping spell that depowered most of mutant kind. Eventually, she got roped into Apocalypse's scheme. He picked her to be one of his horsemen, Pestilence. He not only gave her magnetic powers back, but also upgraded her with a terrifying new ability. She could abort diseases and spread them however she wanted in their natural forms or mutated ones. which is holy crap. Throughout her wild superhero career, Polaris has dealt with all kinds of enemies: Mesmero, Krakoa, a literal living island, the mutant hunting Sentinels, Juggernaut, Apocalypse, Vulcan, and even some of her own teammates. She's pretty much seen it all. At one point, she was taken over by a psychic entity called Malice and forced to lead the deadly mutant group known as the Marauders in an attack on the X-Men. But Malice got stuck inside her with her energy patterns blended, making it impossible for Malice to possess anyone else. Lorna stayed trapped like that until she was kidnapped by a woman named Dane, a priestess from a hidden jungle in the Savage Land who claimed to be her sister. Dane used a machine to steal Lorna's powers, which luckily also freed her from Malice's control. Later on, Lorna joined the government-run version of the X Factor, where she was meant to be some kind of secret weapon against Magneto, though that obviously got complicated once she confirmed it was really her dad. Along the way, she clashed with villains like Mr. Sinister and the Brotherhood of Mutants. After her time with X Factor, Polaris found herself in a weird spot. Sometimes working with Magneto and other times working against Magneto. Their relationship was never simple, but finding out for sure that he was her father changed everything. She's deeply connected with a lot of major players in the mutant world, but her most complicated relationship has to be Alex Summers, aka Havoc. For those who don't know, that is Cyclops' brother. They've been in a messy, long, on and off romance for years. At one point, they both impulsively joined the Defenders, another superhero team, but ended up quitting after just one day because the team was way too chaotic. Polaris has worked with pretty much every version of the X-Men over the years, all the way back to the original crew: Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel, Beast, and Iceman. Iceman was actually the first X-Men she met, and there was a bit of a spark between them until she met Havoc, and everything changed. As part of X Factor, she spent a lot of time alongside Havoc, Multiple Man, who's Jimmy Madrox, Strong Guy, Quicksilver, Wolfbane, and eventually Forge. Things got tense when the government forced the team to accept known mutant criminals Mystique and Sabretooth. Lorna was not on board with that decision, and she was right to worry. Sabretooth eventually snapped and almost killed the whole team. Over the years, she's been part of several versions of X Factor and even took over as leader in the most recent lineup. She and Havoc also joined the spacefaring team, the Starjammers, for a while, going up against Vulcan, who is Gabriel Summers, Alex's dangerous brother. Despite her best efforts, Polaris has never managed to live a quiet life for long. She and Havoc even tried to retire from superhero work early on and pursue their shared love of geophysics. They moved to New Mexico to work on their PhDs in the Diablo Mountains. But, of course, things went sideways. They were brainwashed by the Shi'ar agent named Eric the Red and used in a plot to stop Princess Lilandra from teaming up with the X-Men and Professor X to take down her evil brother, Emperor Dekin. While under Eric's control, Lorna officially took on the name Polaris and, with Alex, ended up fighting the X-Men. Eventually, Professor X broke the mind control and the two of them returned to New Mexico. Even after that, they stayed loosely connected to the X-Men as reserve members, always ready to jump in when needed, and they were needed. Years later, while Polaris and Havoc were both part of X Factor, things took a very dark turn. The Dark Beast, it's basically an evil version of Hank McCoy from another universe, kidnapped Alex and made it look like he'd joined the Brotherhood of Mutants. During a showdown between the X Factor and the Brotherhood, Polaris tried to get through to Alex, but he blasted her with a full-power plasma attack. Her magnetic shields saved her, but the hit was so intense it sent her into cardiac arrest. After she recovered, Lorna found out Alex had actually been undercover the whole time, trying to take down the Dark Beast from the inside. She got why he did it, but shooting her, faking betrayal, and keeping her in the dark was just way too much. Which would be too much for anyone, let's be honest. She couldn't forgive him, and she ended things. That's Queen. Polaris eventually returned to X Factor, but after Alex was seemingly killed in a plane crash, she disbanded the team. After Apocalypse was taken down, Polaris went back to Genosha with Magneto to help him keep things under control and power up his operations. She told herself it was for the greater good, and partly it was. But she also couldn't deny that she was enjoying learning more about how to use her powers under Magneto's guidance. Eventually, things escalated. Magneto launched a full-blown attack on Carrion Cove, the last city of Genosha, resisting his rule. Because he wanted access to tech that would fully restore his powers. Lorna tried to stop him, but he overpowered her. Realizing she couldn't win, she fled the country after Magneto regained his full strength. Girl, I would too. Later, when Magneto kidnapped Professor X as part of his plan to start a war against humanity, Lorna returned to Genosha, not to fight him, but to help evacuate the humans that were still there. After Wolverine severely injured Magneto, she stayed behind to help him recover and keep the peace. During this time, Lorna started digging to her own past. She ran genetic tests on herself and Magneto while investigating the plane crash that killed her parents. What she discovered shocked her. All the metal on the plane had been magnetized. That, along with her test results, confirms Magneto was her biological father. Once she processed the truth, she went back to Genosha, only to find that Magneto already knew about her findings and had announced them to his people. She was welcomed back like royalty, but not long after, the Sentinels, sent by Cassandra Nova, attacked and wiped out most of the island's population. Polaris survived the destruction and the resulting radiation, but the aftermath nearly broke her. She spent months trying to control the chaotic electromagnetic energy that left behind by the dead. The trauma nearly pushed her over the edge until the X-Men showed up, managed to reach her, and finally brought her home. A few weeks later, Polaris showed up at the X-Mansion after hearing that Havoc had been found. She walked in just in time to see his nurse, Annie, yelling at his unconscious body. Apparently, her son Carter had somehow gotten trapped inside Alex's mind. Lorna completely snapped. She lost it. She started attacking with scalpels and even injured Northstar when he was trying to stop her. Eventually, she calmed down, but not before coldly brushing Annie off, then throwing herself at Alex the moment he woke up, like she was staking her claim. To everyone's surprise, Lorna asked Alex to marry her right then and there. He said yes, and the two of them left to reconnect and start planning the wedding. But things didn't go as planned. On the big day, Alex left her at the altar. Lorna lost it completely. Like, she's been through so much. She crafted a Magneto-style helmet out of silverware and tried to kill Alex, Annie, and Carter. Juggernaut had to step in and take her down. Afterward, Lorna was brought back to the mansion in restraints and agreed to let Professor X into her mind to figure out what was going on. During the session, she insisted Annie join in too. Lorna opened up about her true connection to Magneto and the trauma she went through surviving the Genoshan massacre. That experience had clearly changed her. Once sweet and loving, Lorna now acted way more intense and aggressive, shoot first, ask questions later kind of vibe. After the whole Zornito incident, she even started leaning towards Magneto's more militant views on humans and mutants. At Magneto's funeral in Genosha, she took it to the extreme, trying to provoke Professor X by threatening to kill him just to prove his dream of peaceful coexistence was a lie. But Xavier stood his ground, or sat his ground, refusing to fight her. In the end, Lorna backed down. As a show of respect for both her father and Xavier, she used what was left of the giant Magneto statue, which Wolverine had torn down, to create a new sculpture, one that honored both Magneto and Professor X. Eventually, Lorna and Alex found their way back to each other and joined a team of X-Men sent into space to stop Vulcan from going after the Shire Empire. Vulcan helped the ousted Emperor Daken get his throne back, only to kill him and take over himself. He then threatened to execute Empress Lilandra, who was allied with the X-Men. Lorna managed to rescue Lilandra and fought to help restore her power, but in the end, Lilandra was assassinated. On top of everything, it was later revealed that Polaris's magnetic powers had been affecting her mental health for years, basically messing with her brain's electrical signals. Her close friend Teresa Cassidy actually chose to become the Celtic goddess Morrigan to gain power needed to heal Lorna's mind. So that is basically Polaris. She is amazing. She's been through a lot and she still perseveres. So I do have a hot take here. I wonder if she'd make for a better villain. Maybe a scenario where Magneto died and actually stayed dead, and she essentially inherited his followers. She'd adopt his hardline pro-mutant stance, but maybe take it in a different direction than outright terrorism, which would make her a tougher adversary for the X-Men to fight. If you're going to make her whole character be watered down by being his daughter, you might as well take it as far as you can go with that connection. But with her obvious mental health issues, I would hate to see that aspect of her be the reason she turned into a villain. But I have an even hotter take. I think her being Magneto's daughter in the first place has done the character a disservice. It's essentially kept her from further development of her own independent personality and has only gotten messier after the subsequent Pietro and Wanda retcon. So I just think they could do better with her, because right now her character is leaning on the aspect of being Magneto's daughter so hard. At least it has very much in the past, that I think they've never really given her a bigger chance to shine. Because like I said at the beginning of the episode, I think she has the qualities and I think she has it all in her to lead an X team. And I'd really like to see that happen someday. So, like always, I have comics for you to check out to get to know Polaris even better. You can check out Peter David's X Factor from 2005, Uncanny X-Men number 443, New X-Men number 132, and Uncanny X-Men numbers 430 to 431. These are absolute reads you have to check out when it comes to Polaris. But after that, I would add X-Men number 99, X-Men number 380, Uncanny X-Men numbers 425 to 426, War of Kings 1 and 2, and Astonishing X-Men number 62. So thank you for joining me while I talk about one of my favorite mutants. So be sure to like and subscribe, because I'm going through all my favorite mutants and I have some really cool ones lined up. So with that being said, have a marvelous day.